Calling our pre-commission meeting to order at 8:09 a.m. Good to see everyone today. Look at our consent agenda. We have the approval of regular meeting minutes, approval to appoint Joe Brown to the Infrastructure Surtax Oversight Committee, and approval of the 1911 Plat Residential Program application for the 1505 Main Avenue. Are there any concerns about the consent agenda? Anything to discuss?
I don't know, Joe Brown. I've seen him before, I believe.
He's around. All right, so we'll move forward with that. Old business discussion and possible approval, a resolution regarding the fee schedule. Any questions for Director of Planning and Development on that?
Well, there was some confusion about fees. It was inconsistent.
Alarms.
Yeah,
alarm
was
fees.
that corrected?
That was corrected, yes. Yes, I think police corrected theirs.
Was it one that was like residential, commercial?
Yes,
Is that what
they
it
do,
was?
yes,
what I thought.
residential and commercial.
All right, any other questions regarding the fees?
No.
You have anything, Sam, on the fees?
No, I'm good.
All right. In regards to new business, we're gonna,
Before we start new business, can
Yeah.
I say something? Is it appropriate before we do new business?
I don't know what you want to say.
I don't know which items you're gonna go to.
I'm actually going to skip 11 and 12 and go to 13. But if you want to, if it's about 11 and 12, we're going to come back to those.
It is.
Okay, so we're going to, if you could wait till we get to those, we're going to actually go to 13
Okay.
and then come back to 11 and 12. All right. Number 13, discussion and possible approval of resolution to amend the mid-year budget. Director of Finance.
They haven't worked in this building yet. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sure you have a question as to why the budget is coming back to you for a second time, the mid-year budget. As you might remember, I was really back when I brought it to the last one. I only had a few days to review. So I've had a longer period of time to review the numbers. And I have gone over amazing adjustments here and there. The most significant of which is to the sewer department. Bring your attention to that. And I'm playing catch up here, so I'm not exactly sure what you've been informed of. But there was an emergency at the sewer department. Spent $782,000 to empty the pond and buy a new liner. That includes labor associated with activity. So that money has been handed to us. If you have questions that I can answer, or can you go through the whole document again?
What's the total on that?
782,000.
So the budget's increased by $782,000.
And a little bit more than that. About $1 million.
But we've been seeing it on budget summaries, month after month after month. Where has it been? Where we've been paying the bill.
We have, yes.
So where has it been? Has it been hiding?
This is one project, it was the repair of the pond, yeah, that was it was a huge.
Oh, it wasn't the digging it out that we've been paying for every month?
The hauling the sludge out of the pond is what the bills that you have been seeing.
Yeah.
And then we had a $150,000 labor charge associated with getting that out. And then we have a $189,000 pond liner repair.
That's-
The material is on site. They haven't started the repair yet. Hopefully that will start next week or the week after. And that was paid for. I don't remember what the original budget was for the sludge removal, but it was paid for that. And now we're having to add to the budget to pay the difference and to get us through the end of the fiscal year.
We're doing it a different way now.
So our centrifuge is running. We're working the kinks out. Of course, that's a 30-year-old piece of equipment that we just have rebuilt. We had a service call on it yesterday to try to get our belts aligned. just working through it. But yes, it is running. Still having to haul a little bit of liquid just to compensate the difference. And hopefully within the next few weeks, we will be all the kinks worked out and be on the centrifuge 100%.
Other questions for Kiki or other highlights in regards to the budget adjustments that you need to be aware of?
It was just housekeeping more than was maybe.
All right. Anything else? All right, thank you. Number 14, discussion and possible approval to award the contract for construction of Kane Griffin to 850 Construction Services.
Yes, this is for the additional parking lot on that parcel that we purchased. It'll create 42 parking spaces and 3 golf cart parking spaces. We did have 6 bidders on it, so it's a good bid.
Any questions for Mr. Baker on that?
Didn't register the timeline for completion.
120 days.
Any other questions? All right, next will be discussion of possible approval to award the contract for the construction of the stormwater improvements and the paving of the senior center parking to American Sand and Asphalt. Any questions for Mr. Baker on that?
So is any of that getting paid by FEMA insurance funds, or is that all being paid out of our?
None of that's being paid out of FEMA funds.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
All right, my understanding is it was going to be bigger scope, but it came in far more than what we wanted.
That's cool.
So we
Had to narrow the scope down.
narrowed the scope,
Right.
but it still involves the pond.
That's the biggest
That's
thing,
the
is the
biggest.
expansion of the pond. If you look at the drawing that I gave you, we bid it with all the parking in the pond. Well, the pond got expensive. But if we need to do the pond now, and so any future parking will be covered as we do it, because it's permitted for another 4 years. So we're gonna do the pond and the senior center parking lot paving. Then as we get the money, we can pave the rest of it.
We're going to extend the parking lot. Is it paved now in front of the senior center?
It's crushed
Parking.
asphalt.
Oh, okay.
And that is really important that we get that part paved simply because our seniors are going in and out of there. That crushed asphalt does have a lot of trip hazards to it right now.
So just in front of the building, it's going to be paved?
Correct.
Okay,
But all the stormwater will be put in for all future parking.
got it.
Do you have any questions, Sam?
No, sir.
All right. Any other questions on parking lot, stormwater?
So this is just this, it has nothing to do with the pond, or is it gonna?
Yeah, we'll expand the pond. Oh, so that Lime Rock parking lot will go away.
Gotcha.
That'll be the pond, and then we'll pave in front of the sea.
Okay, so the front corner lime lock is gonna go away.
Yes,
So it'll be water up until Ninth Street there.
correct.
Okay.
We'll need that parking. I mean, we'll need some parking because whenever we have events, that parking lot's packed.
Yes.
It'll be paved and packed.
And then
They park
we'll
on the
just
dirt
need to
now.
budget for the future paving. All the other-
Oh, this paving over here?
Yes, and this. And around shipping.
But the infrastructure will be in place, which is important.
All right, number 16, discussion and possible approval to award the contract of 8th Street to BCL Civil Contractors. Any questions about that one? No questions? All right. I want to say the Minnesota sidewalks will be.
It's Iowa to Colorado.
All right, and discussion of approval to award the contract for construction of the West 26th Street sidewalk to BCL civil contractors. Any questions about that one?
I have many citizens that have contacted me and are excited about that.
Yeah,
It's a very busy road.
It is.
Very busy.
school kids too.
Yeah. Part of their concern is Mowat Mosley.
Yeah.
This was actually, number 17 was actually requested by a resident 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And we went out and did kind of an analysis, and it absolutely needed sidewalk there.
There's a lot of pedestrian traffic.
Yes. So it's great when citizens request something and we can do it and get it done.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, discussion and possible approval of the scope of services and agreement with Mott McDonald. Any questions for Director of Public Works and Utilities?
That's just a lot of money. I know the scope of the job is massive, you know, from start to finish. I noticed, I'll be perfectly honest, I didn't have time to read through the whole contract last night. I did skim it. I noticed that in part of it, it said a maximum amount of $50 million. That's scary in itself.
Yeah.
You know, to know that the city's facing a $50 million, possibly a $50 million project. Just wanted to state my concerns.
Any other questions regarding that?
Is this 3 million being funded by impact fees? Where's the money coming from?
It's impact fees.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, number 19 will be a quasi judicial hearing, discussion and possible approval, the request for development order, Bedford Park Townhomes. Questions about that one?
Uh,
All right,
Do you want Amanda to talk?
yes. Yes, if you could give us an overview.
Sure. So this is a parcel of land that has 3 land uses on it. It has mixed use, high density residential, and conservation. Nothing can be developed on the conservation part. You don't have to worry about that. They are giving the wetland setbacks that they need, the buffer that they need from the conservation. The mixed use and the high density residential would allow for them to put potentially 300 multifamily units on there, but they're actually asking to put 154. So it's about half of what they could ask for if they went for apartments or something. We reviewed all the site plans as we usually do, made sure that they met all the requirements with regard to stormwater and everything else, which they do. We also required that they undergo or submit a traffic impact analysis, because if you recall, that's something that you all said that you wanted now for the big developments, you know, with the traffic issues that we have on the roads. So we did contract with, we sent it to our contracted engineers at Kimley Horn to review. The traffic impact analysis that was submitted to us from their traffic engineers. And in their submittal, they had identified, and as you see, I put in your packet, they actually looked at 7 intersections and 2 corridors. And after reviewing their submittal, our engineers agreed with them that the only improvement that they would need, but that they did need, was an eastbound right turn lane at the intersection of East 26th Street and County Road 389. After we being our engineers, sent back to them saying, yes, you know, they had a couple of things they wanted them to tweak, but they said, yes, they did need this intersection. We then got a further submittal from them saying that they had made a mistake, they had put wrong data in there, and they didn't believe that they did need the intersection. So there has been a lot of back and forth. They've submitted 4 or 5 different submittals trying to suggest different things, one being a turn signal, but our people said no, it doesn't warrant a turn signal, it warrants that right turn lane. So then so we took it to planning board. We had meetings, Vicky sat in the meetings, because, you know, we're standing by our engineers, and we took it to the planning commission. The planning commission voted, all but one voted that they would approve or recommend approval contingent upon them putting a right turn lane in. It's a little bit of, do you remember the Mill Bayou situation when they wanted to put the apartments in? And the second phase, we said, okay, you'd be okay with the second phase so long as that road was at the top. So a bit like that. There was one planning commission member who voted against it purely because he didn't agree that we should be bringing something to him until we had already figured all that out, but we felt like it was up to you to make the determination. Anyway, we've since had meetings with the engineer, and the issue with the right turn lane, it seemed like the major issue was they were saying they didn't feel like they had, I think initially it was money, but then they were saying that they didn't feel they had enough right of way. So Bobby Baker and I and Chris Lightfoot met with them, and they asked if they would be able to put an 11-foot wide turn lane in instead of the usual, what is it, usually 12? And our engineers and Bobby and Chris said that they felt that that would be okay on that intersection because people are slowing down for the lights or whatever. So, and then we did some research for them because we would still, there was a light pole, an electric pole that's in the right of way that if they did put the right turn lane in would have to be moved somewhere. So we contacted the owner of the property. I contacted the owner of the property because the developer said, oh, he isn't going to work with us. He won't let us have any room. But they had found an easement from the 90s, I think, where a survey where there was an easement drawn up for that section, but it was never recorded. So it was never really acted upon. So I called the owner to find out if he was still willing to give us that easement because then we could move the light pole on it. But he said no. I reported back to our engineers, and explained that we can't get this piece of land to move the light pole on. And he said, well, really, it's up to the engineer. The engineer should be calling Florida Light and Power and having a discussion with them as to what they can do, because there are some places where potentially they could move it. So we went ahead and brought this to you because at every stage, our engineer is saying they need that right turn lane because it triggers, the volume triggers, so it goes above the capacity. And it triggers at about 136 units. So they want 154, but it triggers the need at about 134. We got an email from them yesterday asking for a meeting, the developer, because he said in the email, they do intend, so I don't know if they've spoken to Florida Light and Power, but he said, we do intend to put the right turn lane in, but we would like to meet with you about phasing. So we actually have a meeting with them at 10:30 today. And what I think I'm going to recommend is that if they are going to put that right turn lane in and they have figured all that out, then we can give them a development order for the whole thing, a preliminary plat for the whole thing. But then when they come to want to sell them, the final plat that they bring will be for under that trigger number of the units. And so they'll get their final plat for however number that is, 135, 136. They can build them and sell them, but they don't get the final plat approved for the additional units that trigger the need until they've put that right turn lane in.
So who pays for the road? Is the developer pays
Yes.
for the road?
Yes.
So that will be in writing somewhere.
Yes, the development order, when it comes to you, the recommendation would be that, just like we did with the Mill Bayou, that you would approve the development order, and then when the preliminary plat is next on the agenda, same thing with that. Well, the preliminary plat is fine, but the development order is contingent upon the final plats not being approved, phase 2 of the final plat not being approved unless that turn lane has been installed.
So then we won't have so if I'm understanding, they won't have to do a right turn lane until the final phase.
Yes, until they trigger it, because they don't need it until they trigger it with that number of units.
Although they may not need it, that's going to greatly increase the traffic there. If you're talking about 134 townhomes, that's
It is.
134 vehicles.
More than that, probably.
It is, but they look at, they do the traffic impact study looks at all of the intersections that I mentioned.
But we're also talking about real time, though. I mean, I understand the intersections, but in real time, like, for example, we did the Mill Bayou study but we've had to go back out there.
Well, it's going to increase the traffic, but they use the software programs. There's a level of service, and we can't require them to do it unless it triggers that and makes a deficiency. And it doesn't create a deficiency on that road. And that's why we paid these people all this money to
Ms.
look at
Richards,
it.
I understand that, but I'm just saying in real time, what are those 200 vehicles going to look like in real time?
It's going to be busy.
On Minnesota Avenue.
It's going to
And
be
then we're
busy.
going to have, just like we have with Mill Bayou, we're going to have people back in here
Right.
upset about the traffic because they may not do the second phase.
26th Street.
Right, they may not. And then the next person who puts traffic on that road will have to make the improvement.
So I think the question is, what can we do legally because of property rights? Can we make it where as soon as the development order is approved, that they have to do the right turn lane or
That would
legally
be
we
up to
can't
the
do that?
attorney. And I just want to also mention that when it comes to the meeting on Tuesday, our engineer will be here to answer any traffic specific questions that you have. I can't, I'm not an expert in it.
Right.
But they were here at the planning commission meeting to answer questions, and they will definitely be here on Tuesday to answer all of these types of questions about the traffic. I can't, I'm not an expert in transportation planning.
Any other questions regarding,
Well, this is like halfway up 26th Street, right? It's near where the trails crosses.
It's, yeah, it's
26th
on the
Street.
south side.
On the south side. I've seen the little,
Sign?
yeah.
Yeah.
I travel that area and I could see, you have a little stop sign down. Minnesota Avenue is my big concern. You're dumping 200 cars out on Minnesota Avenue coming back, because people want to get to 77, they go up and down the road. And Minnesota is a small 2-lane road that gets the 4-way stop at Mosley backs up it backs up past 26th Street sometimes, all the way to the next 4-way stop over there at 24th Street, and that during peak pick up and drop off time of the high school. And that's when people are getting out to go to work as well, So you're looking at a quagmire over there. I don't know how engineers can't understand that, we're creating more of a nightmare for people.
Well, they just look at the numbers.
Well, they don't look at certain hours
I
too,
know.
it's
8 o'clock to.
yeah. Well, we've been down that road before
Yeah.
and stuff, so we gotta be good stewards here I know you can't stop someone from developing their land, but we can require a decent amount of infrastructure before they develop the land. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
So can we legally make them do the turn
We-
before the trigger point? Do you
You
know?
could
Do you not
legally
know?
approve your development order with conditions. I'm not
Okay.
going to speak to whether or not they are reasonable, but you can absolutely do that legally.
Okay.
Your comp plan allows you to do public-private partnerships, so that may also be an opportunity for this commission to negotiate the timing of it, to meet y'all's needs about the traffic concerns and balance the developer's needs about the phasing.
okay.
Okay.
I guess since we're discussing, so we have the right turn, are there other concerns that we might want to discuss with this development order?
Well, definitely. Minnesota, just the sheer number of cars at certain times of the road there, that'll, people are not everybody's gonna migrate up to 389. They're gonna migrate to 77 as well. So, and I don't know what the formula the engineers have as far as the disbursement of cars, but I guarantee a lot of folks are gonna be going that way as well. And when you're dumping, so we haven't even mentioned anything about Minnesota in anything you spoke about. I see it's highlighted.
So it's one that they would have analysed.
Yeah.
So you can ask him questions
Oh,
specific to that, and then he can let you know what they found.
It's real, like you said, real time. We've all been there on that
Yeah.
road, if you had to pick up or drop off a student at Mosley.
Yeah, there are no shortcuts to.
There's no shortcuts when you're sitting on Minnesota. You're just waiting for people to produce at the 4-way stop at Mosley, So.
All right, moving on to the discussion of possible approval of the preliminary plat approval, Bedford Park Townhome. And that would somewhat go back to some of our previous discussion. Any other question on that?
One's contingent on the other.
How large is the conservation area?
It is, let's see,
Is that highlighted in green or?
I've got it on here, it's on here. There's 6.4 acres of mixed use. 11.8 of high density residential.
Is it the,
And
what color is
third
it
is
on the map?
conservation, which I don't have the info on. Yeah, it's the
It's the green?
it's the green.
The green on here.
I think it's on.
Quite a bit.
I think it might. Oh no, it's on my plan. Yeah, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of wetlands as well, which is why when you look at that, the bottom piece of development, you've kind of got that thin road that goes down to those units. It's kind of an odd shape the way they're developing it because they have to keep away from the conservation of wetlands.
It's like they're swamping.
All right, thank you. And discussion and possible approval of resolution for statewide mutual aid agreement. City Attorney.
I believe this process is a little bit different this year because you are directly entering a contract with the state. It's a form agreement that they're requiring any local government to enter if they wish to receive or provide assistance in the event of an emergency. Historically, this agreement has been between the state and the county, and so you were sort of a sub to the county. So the only thing that's different this year is that you are contracting directly with the state under this agreement.
So it's basically FEMA.
Yes. I don't know that the terms are any different than an arrangement you had with the county, but
No,
I still.
it's just now, normally we have a mutual aid and we may or may not get reimbursed for it. Now we will be able to.
Right.
Are there any other questions for the city attorney? I guess in regards to general matters. I do have a question in regards to Form 1, Form 6, because I initially missed your email.
Yeah.
Regarding that we don't have to file Form 6, now we file back to Form 1.
Yes.
How long is that going to be in place? Is that just for this year?
It's a temporary injunction at this point in time, so I can't answer that question. But the advice I'm receiving from Florida League of Cities indicates that we should act like Form 1 is the disclosure that will be appropriate for candidates and for you for the foreseeable future until we're told otherwise.
Okay.
And they extended the deadline, I think it was like 15 days or something.
Yeah, I think like July 15th, which was a little confusing because there was one deadline that said they had extended it till September, but then.
Well, that's if you put in for extension, which you always have the option to do.
So that
For 30 days.
There is a grace period. Yes.
Is it easier to access this Form 1 than it is for?
So everything
Six.
everything is electronic and online this year. So if you haven't already requested an email, you have to email the state, the Commission on Ethics, to get sort of access to their software program. But you identify yourself, you send them an email, and they send you a confirmation. From there, it does appear to be easier to navigate. It should now be set up for all of you to go directly to Form
It
1,
is.
whereas before the default was for you to go directly to Form 6.
I already completed it, so
Yeah.
it's
It should be easier.
so much easier than Form 6.
Good, because I was,
If you have questions, I'm happy to help you navigate it. I know for myself, there were some glitches in the system that I had to figure out how to override to get to the result I needed. But if you have questions, I can help you.
so if I registered for Form 6, it carries over to Form 1?
It should have defaulted. The Commission on Ethics, their
Yes, I did.
software, it should now have defaulted you to Form 1. But if it hasn't, there is a way to navigate away from Form 6 to get to Form 1 and file it instead.
And I already started, I was like 99% done with the Form 6, and they already added the Form 1 when they did that, so I just clicked on that and completed that. So
Well, I
it's pretty-
procrastinated on Form 6 because I didn't want to answer some of those questions.
I was trying to do a little at a time, and then,
Yeah,
you know.
I can help if you need it.
okay, thanks.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 11. Commissioner Ward.
All right, and this is where I wanted to say something. Can I say something? Okay.
It's a workshop.
I would like to ask both Commissioner Ward and Mayor Nelson to delete their agenda item.
Ditto.
And the reason is, I ran for this position to work together, to advance, to protect, to do what I, thought we could do as a group. We're not an individual. We're a group of 5. And I think that if we proceed with these agenda items, that no good can come from it.
Wholeheartedly agree with you, Commissioner. For whatever reason, they're both there. I think if you get above it and look at it, is it really city business? It's an ongoing personnel issue within the city that's developed to this point. It's not final yet. And
When you say not final, what do you mean not final?
well, because we agreed we would wait for the outcome of anything with the chief until his adjudication. And yes, there you can point out the integrity. There's violations of code of conduct and whatnot, but the time it'll be taken into consideration will be after his court is finalized. And we agreed on that as a commission a while back. And then, I'm just going through the timeline on things, Jamie, on how and then you wanted an agenda item and you wanted an agenda item put on the agenda, and it was told to you that you didn't want to put the agenda item on the agenda. And then from there, it was, well, and I was witness to this, and you were very upset and to the point of you were vile about it, and you said, how do I get something on the agenda? And I understand your frustration.
Well,
Okay, and then we developed this policy
right.
on how to get something on the agenda, and it was all agreed on, and she did the work, and it was on a Friday that we all left the table thinking that we were gonna pass this policy on how to put something on the agenda because there was no consensus, and this policy that she had worked on, it was at a previous meeting. I don't know, it was the last meeting or a meeting before, but it fell on the floor.
Well, so couple things there. One, and we had talked about this the last pre-commission. I thought we had a really good, productive conversation about that whole situation.
Yeah.
And I apologize to the mayor, and I'll apologize again. I'm sorry I got upset with you. And we learned from that there was miscommunication with the city attorney. There was thought, they were thinking that he was going to talk to me, and he never talked to me. And I believe if the city attorney would have talked to me at that time, that whole situation would never happen. And yes, I got a little too upset, I'll admit it, but I'm trying to do what's right for the city, right? The second part I'll say is we keep alluding to the trial. I'm not even talking about the criminal charge. I'm just talking about civil citations. I've said that multiple times.
And the agreement was that we'd wait till the outcome of
We never voted on that.
we sat here and agreed on it.
We initially had a consensus that, hey, we want to let the city manager handle that. We're not going to deal with that. That was the consensus we left with. However, you continue to push the agenda on taking some type of action against Chief Raymond. Then we actually came back and took a vote. We actually voted when Dave Marcy was here that because at the time the trial was supposed to be, or the case was supposed to be like in April or something like that, I think it was. So we said, hey, let's give this until April to let, due diligence or,
And that passed.
And that passed. When that did not happen, when April 9th was delayed until June, then city manager put him on administrative duties, which was disciplinary action in regards to still waiting on the results of what comes from this criminal charge. So that's what we did vote on.
Yeah,
Because
I
initially-
didn't agree to it.
the commission agreed to it.
Right, I agree.
It was voted on, and then it becomes the issues, you know,
So as a commission, that's what the commission agreed on. You have your independent feelings.
Yeah, I do.
And so so that's been February, March, April, now we're May, June, 5 months that we're still coming back to this. But thank you for your statement. Number 11.
I don't have anything else.
All right, so
you want
discussion and
to,
possible approval to censor the city manager. So anything else on that?
so it'll stay on the agenda.
Well, since we don't have an official,
May I ask a question?
policy, our pattern has been to either keep or remove things by consensus. So as a consensus, if we don't want something to be on the agenda, we can just say we don't want to discuss this on the agenda. Because we don't have an official policy, so we're falling back to what we've traditionally done for the past 3 years.
Jamie, do you want the floor to, as to why, what's specific about the censure that you want to?
I've already stated it. I've been pretty clear about
That
it.
you have, you talked about Chief Ranger, but you're talking about censoring the city manager. Those are two different things.
Okay, so I brought up multiple times of Chief Ramey and his past history.
Well, we're talking about the city manager.
Right.
So
And I had a discussion with her about this. And believe it or not, we agreed more than we disagreed, didn't we?
I would agree with you.
Yeah. And even after that conversation, I was like, you still feel that way? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, I would not do this. I don't enjoy this. I don't get any enjoyment out of this whatsoever.
What do you hope to accomplish?
but so you don't agree with the city manager, so you want her?
I don't agree with the city manager's handling of the situation.
So what part do you not agree with? But now you're for me, you're mixing things. You're saying past, and then you're saying this. So what is it?
What
that you
specifically do we need to censure her about?
It's lack of action of the Chief Ramey. I believe he should be terminated. I've stated that.
But as a commission, we voted to allow her to make those decisions.
I disagree with that decision.
Based on the recommendation of 3 lawyers.
Well, hold on. Let's back up for a second, and I've stated this multiple times. I asked the HR attorney a specific question on if you just look at the civil citations, not the criminal charge. I'm not even talking about the criminal charge, okay? I understand that. But you just look at the civil citations, and if he had past actions that brought negative publicity to the city, could that be a viable reason to terminate him? And his answer was, I believe what you're alluding to is conduct unbecoming. And in my mind, and I even stated this on the commission, that's exactly what I'm getting at. And he said, yes, that could be a viable reason. He did state that would be up to the city attorney, or not city attorney, city manager. And he's right. It is up to the city manager, and I disagree with her decision.
So because you disagree, 1 of 5 individuals, you think that warrants censorship.
Yeah.
What do you hope to accomplish?
The truth.
What
The
lies have
truth
been
about
told?
what?
I didn't say lies were being
You
told.
say you hope to accomplish the truth, as in if there's an error or there's been falsehood.
Okay, maybe that was a bad choice of words. The past history, he has a pattern of negative behavior.
So the past history being the text messages on his personal phone
That's part of it.
and anything, what prior to that?
Facebook post requiring people go canvassing neighborhoods to get a peddler's permit.
I think there was confusion on that in regards to how our policy was stated, and that was cleared up.
No, it was pretty clear.
So it goes back to peddling neighborhoods without a permit?
Mm-hmm.
you're peddling?
So Mark Anderson had to get involved. And it wasn't just me.
I don't know this.
It wasn't just me, but Mark Anderson had to get involved when he required us to get a peddler's permit. Police were called on 2 of us.
So did he call the police on you all?
No, it was a resident.
Okay.
And I had talked to the police chief about this prior. And he wouldn't budge on it. And when the police were called on me, I was told I had to leave. I called Mark Anderson. He contacted the city. He got it all straightened out for me.
So this goes back to a
This is a
citizen
pattern.
calling the police on you.
Not just me,
Who else did they call the police?
Brian Gray.
So a citizen.
Yes.
So the police just weren't riding by and just picked you out.
No, of course
Okay.
not. They were
So a
very
citizen
polite and professional.
Called the police on you. Why did they call? Because you were knocking on their door or something, or
And, they probably thought I was a solar panel person,
Some people are adamant about no soliciting, and there's a difference between soliciting and campaigning, right?
Yeah, canvassing and peddling.
So this is an issue when you were a candidate
Mm-hmm.
and you were campaigning.
Yep,
so this is from
21. 21.
And you're upset about it.
No, I'm not upset about it. What I'm saying is there is a history here.
So how is that negative behavior though? If he's upholding what he thought was the policy of the
Because
city?
I approached him about it.
But if he thought that was the policy of the city, how is that negative behavior?
I didn't say it was negative behavior.
But that's what you just said. There was a history of negative behavior, and now you just cited
Okay.
the.
He's upholding the law of the city, but
No, the law is pretty specific when it comes to that. You have to be selling a product or a service in
Okay.
order to have to require a peddler's permit. I approached him not on just one occasion, but on 2 occasions. I could not change his mind. And so I went, and the police were calling me. That's not his fault. That's nobody's fault. And it's probably not even the person that called's fault. They were probably just thinking it was a solar panel person. I don't blame them. And they told me I had to leave. And, that's a pretty big deal because that's a First Amendment thing. And I stated that to the police chief.
But his Facebook post is also a First Amendment thing, which is what the attorney.
That goes against social media policy of the city, though.
Was that a policy at the time?
Oh, yeah.
So, but if it goes against the city's policy, from my understanding, HR went through that because that was before we came on.
Mhm.
So,
That policy was in place, I know, at that time was 2018, so it's definitely by that time.
okay. So, I guess, Ms. Gaynor, in regards to the Facebook post, how did that violate policy, but no action was taken?
None. I think you had the attorney that came in then and said he has First Amendment rights.
He does.
He was not on duty. It was late at night. The information was already out there, first of all. And he posted a Facebook post, and that was what the attorney said. He did not violate anything. Had he been on duty, had he done that during the time that he works, surely it would have violated the city policy. And that's what the attorney said, and I totally agree with that.
So I guess back to
So this is what the policy states. It says, any such conduct that adversely affects or may be viewed as adversely affecting past or present City of Lynn Haven citizens, employees, management, or city commission members will, doesn't say may, doesn't say possibly, says will result in disciplinary action up to including termination. That is the city policy. Now, legally, can he do that? Yeah, of course he can do that legally. But it still goes against our social media policy code.
Got it.
Handbook.
So let's go back to your canvassing issue. What does that have to do with her if that's something you talked with the chief about?
She was involved. The Mark Anderson had to talk to her and the chief about that. And that's when the city attorney had to get involved. And all of us that were running at that time, we received an email saying, yeah, you don't need a peddler's permit.
I do remember receiving an email about that.
Remember
Yeah,
that,
that's what
because
that was
there
all
was
about.
confusion about that. There really was. And we did straighten that out. And we did go back and fix that. I didn't think it was malicious.
I didn't say it was malicious. I was saying it was wrong.
So she needs to be censured. Yeah.
So censor her
It's a bad judgment.
for a misinterpretation
We talked about that.
of a. To me, it just sounds like it's real personal and vindictive.
Okay, if it was personal and vindictive, let's just say if it is,
Yeah.
then why is it I didn't push for him to be terminated when the vulgar text came out? I didn't push for that. I didn't push the city manager to give him a reprimand. I didn't push for any of that. In fact, if anything, I defended him.
Because what you're stating now are personal matters. When you're talking about canvassing, that's a personal thing.
It wasn't just me. I just saying that's a bad judgment call.
Okay.
Okay, may I say something?
Sure.
I'm going to go back again at my request for both gentlemen to withdraw this action item. Again, no good can come from this. I think the whole city knows exactly how you feel.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you've made it perfectly clear at every
you
single
just
board
stated
meeting
what
how
the
you feel.
reasons.
I'm just, if
And it's in
that's what
public.
you want, for the city to know how you feel and that you don't agree with the way that she's handled it, I think everybody knows that. But by these actions, I don't think any good can come
I
from
don't think
this.
it warrants an agenda item and a vote.
I mean, she's over 200
So-
employees that she is responsible for.
So you don't,
And yes, we all make mistakes.
I-
And could it have been handled differently? We've discussed this
We're getting
in
to the
her
root.
office, one-on-one. I've voiced my opinion both on Chief Ramey and the situation.
Right.
And that's how it should be conducted.
so when I had a discussion with her about it, I brought up all those facts we just talked about. I brought up all four of those facts with her.
So what's the four facts? And I'm not being.
That's fine. The 3 civil citations,
Okay.
the vulgar text, the Facebook post, and peddler's permit.
Okay.
And on all 4 of those, you agreed he either made a bad judgment call or did something unethical. And I said, you
I didn't
know,
say unethical. I said bad judgment call.
Okay.
Never said unethical.
okay.
Let's make sure. Yeah.
So bad judgment call. We'll go with that. So I said, so when you look at all these things separately, you know, is it viable for termination? No. But when you bundle it all together, we have an issue. We have a negative trend. And I asked her, and I expressed that I feel based on those, he should be terminated. And her answer was, 1, he is a great asset to the city. He's done all these great things. And I don't disagree with that. But 2, she said, you're talking about a person's livelihood. And those are the 2 reasons she felt like he should not be terminated.
May I say
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
here?
One, we need clarification. So what neighborhood were you in with this?
Oh, God. It was, I know it was on that side of 77. I don't remember the name of the road. Actually, hold on. I could find it for you. And I'm not out to get Chief Ramey. I'm not. I'm really not. But I can't sit here. It's on Massachusetts Ave. It says West 17th Street, Massachusetts Ave.
So was it a no solicitation neighborhood that you were in?
No, it's just a regular, it wasn't like an HOA or a subdivision or anything like that. It was just a regular road.
Near North Shore.
Not like Hammocks or Middle Bayou or anything like that. But there are just certain things I just cannot turn a blind eye to. I can't do that.
I don't think the commission is turning a blind eye. I don't think we have turned a blind eye.
I think we have enough there. And it's not personal. I don't have a vendetta against them. If it was, again, I would have pushed for it when the vulgar texting came out.
So what has the, so what,
And I'll say this too, is the notification, when we received it, we should have received that a lot sooner. And I think you agreed to that too.
I did, and we had a very in-depth discussion about that.
And the only reason I found out about it was Facebook. That's not the way that we should have found out about it.
Well, I didn't find out about it on Facebook, so I don't follow those pages that promote that.
And as soon as I saw it, that's when I text messaged city manager and I said, and it was the copy of the police, the thing from Bay County Court Records. And I said, please tell me there's another Ricky Ramey or there's more to the story.
Yeah.
And she goes, there's definitely more to the story. So that told me she already knew about it. And then in 5 minutes, I got a call from Chief Ramey.
Okay, so with the censor, what behavior are you asking?
Lack of action. Lack of termination of the chief.
Got it. So when I did some reading on censure, and Amy sort of helped me with this, usually it's something that's done in the federal level, U.S. Senate, House of Representatives. It can be done at a local level, but usually it's only for elected officials.
Yeah, sounds like it, yeah.
When I've read it, I'm not saying it can't be done for a city manager, but typically all the reading I've done has been for like a local, it's been for elected officials where there's one body, the body is censoring one of their members for like gross behavior,
Right.
not
Normally it's parliamentary type stuff.
not lack of action on, and it can be personal behavior. It can be things they do in their personal life. It can be, but usually things that take place within the commission, you know, that violates the policy or the standards of conduct of that particular body. As a commission, we decided to allow her and give her the freedom to take action as she deemed necessary. And now for us to come back and say, we're going to censor you for doing action or inaction with our permission, I think is just counterproductive of what we decided to do.
I'll say this whole thing has been a huge learning experience for me. If I were to do it all different, all over again, would I do it differently? Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, you know, as
I think we
commissioner-
all would have.
Yeah, I agree.
That's life.
And as we know, when we get into office, it's normally none of us have been involved in, as elected officials. A lot of times they've never been even involved in local government. So there's a big learning curve there. And I appreciate Amy Myers educating me on some of these things, as even through this whole thing, she had educated me on a lot of things. And I'll tell you how this first thing got started. It was started where I wanted to do a vote of no confidence on Chief Ramey. And Amy Myers had called me and emailed me. So she contacted me, right? Which I very well appreciate. And she explained to me that that's not under the purview of the commission. We cannot censor that because we're not his boss. So I said, well, what options do I have? And she did explain the only people that you can do a vote of no confidence on is the city manager or
The city attorney.
the city attorney.
Right.
And I said, okay, then that's what I'll do. And so I did that. And then the next day I got thinking about it. And I remember Commissioner Peebles had originally brought this up at the original commission meeting when this whole thing came about. And he had talked about a vote of no confidence, but he also talked about censor. And I got thinking about it. I said, well, let me look more into it. And I did. And then when I learned, after I did my research, I called Miss Myers and she did confirm what I was thinking. Cause you're right. A lot of this stuff is that higher government stuff. It's hard to find local government when it comes applicable to local government. And so a vote of no confidence is more of, the way I understand it, like their overall performance or multiple actions that they have taken that you disapprove of. And normally it's a first step or the step to terminate an employee. And so when I thought about that, and then I read up on censor, I'm like, it's not really vote of no confidence I want, it's more of censor. So that's when I decided, okay, I don't agree with the way city manager has handled this. That's why I want a vote of censor.
Yes, ma'am.
As I said to Commissioner Ward, when the commission has given me consensus that this is the way they go. This is the way we go until the outcome of whatever happens. I've always said to you, whatever the outcome is, there will be discipline. I've always said that to you. Everyone knows that. I've said that to every commissioner in here. You guys wanted something done, and I said in June, when the trial didn't take place, I put him on administrative duties. Everybody said something needs to be done. Commissioners came and thanked me for doing that, following the things that I said I would do. When you guys said to wait, let's see the outcome, I'm doing that. But now, because I'm following your command, I get punished for that. And I don't think that's right. Yes, that was their direction. And everybody knows that was their direction, to wait. I can't act on one commissioner. I have to act according to the charter on the commission. And that's what I'm doing. I feel like I am doing the right thing because we don't know that outcome. Morally and ethically, I have to do the right thing. And that's what I'm doing. It's not that I'm doing nothing. I'm just waiting to make sure we're doing the right thing. And I think the attorney told you guys that. So that both the citizens and the city can be protected. My decisions are all about the city being protected and the citizens being protected. And so there's no lack of anything right now until the end of this journey. And there will be discipline. I think I've said that to you more than one occasion. I've had commissioners tell me, I don't think it's appropriate right now for termination. Commissioners. And more than one. And so that is exactly what I'm doing.
And I think from the beginning, as I understood it, because when this did come out, I did meet with city manager, HR, Dave Marcy, and literally probably about for 8 hours between all of them to try to find some way to have some type of disciplinary action. I'll say I did that. Now, publicly, let's come out, let's be unified, let's be unified. But when all this first happened, I personally spent 8 hours engaging with all of them, including Kevin, on what can we do. The response kept coming back to, hey, because it was stated it was a medical issue, that can fall under the Medical Disability Act, and we don't want to infringe upon that right now. So that was really the holdback. It wasn't even so much of police, sanctions, oaths, the covering from the police part, as much as, hey, the disability,
But that goes back to the criminal charge. I'm not even talking about the criminal charge.
This is what I'm saying to you. That charge was a result of his actions, which was stated to be part of a medical condition. So then we can't say we're going to punish you for a medical condition. That if something happened because you had a medical condition, that we punish you for that. That's how it was. After 8 hours, that was the conclusion that was given to me was, hey, we just have. Then when it came to the criminal charge, well, hey, you just have to wait because you don't want to seem as if you're forcing the courts to try to make a particular decision, especially when it was at the local level. For example, if it was still in Larry Bassford and we as electeds are really pushing a particular angle of how we want this case handled, then it could be shown that, hey, are we forcing him to do or to not do something because he has an election coming up? So it was wanting us to stay out of the judicial part of it and focus on what are we doing on this side of it. So that's why there was the initial, hey, what can we do aspect of it, because there were so many different moving pieces that we couldn't just nail down one thing to say, well, this is it, so we can move forward upon this action.
I'll say two things, okay? First one, I'll refer back to what the HR attorney said. Said, based on the civil citations and past history, could that be a viable reason to terminate him? He said yes. He stated that. That was that special meeting we had. I specifically asked him that question. I almost didn't. Thank God I did. He specifically stated that. And you said that there's going to be some type of discipline that happens after this.
And let me
So-
clarify, you all have asked me to look at this particular. I don't think any commissioner
No one's
asked
asked-
me to go back and look at what has happened before. You asked that, and that's what I'm doing. So you asked me to look at this particular issue, and that's where I'm
No, we
confused. No,
talked-
I'm confused.
The focus,
When we talked in your office, we talked about all four of the facts.
We did, but as a commission, they have
Right.
asked me to
I
look
got you.
at this one particular issue, and that's what I'm
Okay,
doing.
so let me ask this, okay? If when this whole thing is over with, the trial, whatever, if it gets dismissed or there's a plea deal, whatever happens, can we have a vote, and I have to ask this to the city attorney, can we have some type of vote on what we feel should be done?
No, it's not appropriate.
Yeah, see, that's the struggle I'm having. I just,
so you're struggling with
Can't let her
what
do
the
it.
policies are?
no, I'm struggling with,
I mean, that's what it seems, it seems.
no,
like-
I'm struggling with the decision. I feel that the police chief position is a very key leadership position.
I agree.
And you have to have a high caliber person in there. And if you're having someone that is making bad judgment calls or bringing negative publicity to the city, I think we need to look at other options. That's the problem I'm having.
Okay, so when this is over, you can make a motion to, as Commissioner Tinder did in the past, she made a motion that the police chief answer to the commission as the city manager does versus the being under the city manager. She did that in the past, I remember.
I don't agree.
So-
So basically you're saying the police chief would work for us?
That's,
He'd be a charter officer.
he'd be a charter officer.
I don't agree with that.
Well, that's the type of control you want over his position right now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just, it's my struggle is, I know what the right decision is.
So the right decision is to fire the chief?
Yep, absolutely.
But it's not your decision.
I know, but I disagree with her
But I get
decision.
punished because
Okay.
I disagree with Commissioner Ward, and that's where I
I
feel.
will agree.
And you're 1 of 5, and you're welcome to how you feel, and I understand your turmoil. But she talked over the timeline on everything. We had the special meeting. We've agreed by consensus, even though you don't agree, to go in the direction we're going. So
Okay, could we do this? After it's all said and done, we each individually talk to the city manager, and if we don't agree with the decision, then I could do another vote, a censor vote.
Yes and no. You can if you disapprove of her conduct. But if
Right.
she is acting at the direction of a majority of the commission, she is not doing anything inconsistent with what she's supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Disagreement is not grounds for censure. Disapproval of bad behavior is grounds for censure.
So when this is done, if I disapprove of her,
No,
hold on, let me get this out. Disapproval of her discipline of the police chief, that could be a viable option for a vote of censure.
It's not behavior. Again, what I have heard you said repeatedly is, I disagree, I disagree, I disagree. The disapproval has to be for her action or non-action. But again,
Right.
if she is working at the direction of a majority and you are the minority of that, that's not grounds for censure. She's not behaving badly. She's behaving as directed. She's implementing the vote of the commission.
do you have any comments, Commissioner Peebles?
I do. So first, since I brought up censure, I have spent a lot of time in the Robert's Rules of Order, and I would say that my understanding of it, obviously we have Andy here to answer questions, but I would say that it's based on action, and Robert's Rules of Order does actually give a specific example of censuring a fire chief. So it really can be anything as long as it's an action. But what my main goal is I just want everyone up here to be able to say what they want to say. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to be walking on eggshells to be able to, if they're passionate about something. So I appreciate Commissioner Ward's passion. I feel like there are some things that he can be upset about, and then as he stated, there's some things maybe he got too upset about. But I also want to give the mayor the opportunity to talk about why he wants to censure Commissioner Ward before I give any final thoughts on what I have on this whole situation.
Mine is actually stated in the resolution. And so, as Commissioner Ward stated, if we go back to past actions, since I've been on this council for the past 3 years, Commissioner Ward on multiple occasions, I mean, it's stated here, on multiple occasions has been displayed conduct unbecoming of Lynn Haven City Commissioner multiple times. In exchange of dialogue, I've had to ask Commissioner Ward, hey, calm down, I'm not yelling at you.
That happened once.
No, it happened on more than one
She
occasion.
never had told me I had to calm down except for one time.
When was that?
When we couldn't add the agenda items.
No, it's been way before then. We've had to do it when we met at the Garden Club.
Right, about the financial review board.
Hold on.
Right.
We met at the Garden Club, also when we met in the senior center. Matter of fact, we had the mayor youth council there, and you actually cursed at me.
That was I didn't curse at you.
Yeah.
I said,
You used a curse word.
I did use I said ass.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
In front of our teen students.
And I didn't use it as like a derogatory. I'm trying to remember. I think I said something like I know the city works their ass off or something like that.
No, that wasn't your statement.
Do you remember what it was?
It was directed towards me. So,
But I remember we did talk about the financial review board. You're right, and I did get upset on that.
so there have been a few occasions where I've had to say, Commissioner Work, I'm not yelling at you. Calm down. There's been a few occasions I've had to do that. There's also been a few occasions where if something doesn't go your way, you seemingly try to bully your way through in order to get those things done. We've even had employees to say, Commissioner Work is a little overbearing on certain issues when we're not complying with what he wants us to do. So, and now, since February, again, you've displayed.
No one's ever told me that. As far as employees saying.
That's why we've had to say, hey, make sure you continue to speak to the city manager.
I do.
We made a blanket statement speaking to the city manager.
I do.
So, and so since 2001, argumentative, rude, disruptive,
2021.
abusive, since May 2021.
I thought you said 2000. Sorry.
No, since May 2021. Those have been some of the actions that I've seen. Now, what happens is that if you're dialoguing with Commissioner Perno, there is no, aggressiveness, or with Commissioner Ward, with former Commissioner Brandon Aldridge, or with Commissioner Tender. Seemingly, it was only directed towards me that there was this always aggressive tone and behavior. Maybe because I was the chairman of the meeting, maybe because I disagreed with what you were saying.
Yeah, probably more than that.
I don't know, but I know I would have citizens that would come and say to me, that would be the part they remember from the meeting, not the actual conclusions we came to. And so now some have said, well, hey, this is retaliation to censoring the city manager. I wouldn't necessarily call it retaliation. It's not that. It's for 5 months, we've continued to go down this same path of dealing with the police chief when we're saying, hey, stop. And I'm not saying that you have to stop expressing your expression of speech. I hear what Commissioner Peoples is saying. I don't think anyone is trying to stifle what anyone is saying. What I did mention in previous meetings is whatever we say goes on public record.
Right.
Whatever emails we send, whatever, all text messages, all that goes on public record. So in the best interest of the city, we have to be very careful about what we say. So now, if the city manager fires Ricky Ramey, although the commission as a whole may not agree with it, if the city manager fires Ricky Ramey, then it's going to be because of all the things that have been said. Well, I get it. You want your constituents to know that you want Ricky Ramey terminated. I understand that. You have an election coming up soon. If you decide,
that's not why I'm doing
let me finish. You have a re-election coming up soon if you decide to run. So I know you want your constituents to know how you feel about the issue. So I get that. Hold on. However, if it turns out that she fires Ricky Ramey and Ricky Ramey believes that he's been unduly terminated, or that he was terminated because one commissioner pressured her to do it, not because it was her decision to do, but because of the pressure from a commissioner to do that, then we become a part of that suit. And your name will be brought up in that suit. So it's going to be City of Lynn Haven, Commissioner Jamie Ward. So the entire time, I'm not trying to stifle anyone from their public commentary or from their speech as much as protect the city from statements that we make publicly. Again, that's one reason why I stated the reason we didn't talk about Tallahassee issues here is because those individuals were listed. You got a problem?
It's called the Lynn Haven corruption case, not the Tallahassee corruption.
Okay, thank you. And so, and you're right, the Lynn Haven corruption case, which included Margot Anderson, James Finch, other city officials. And so, because there was a liability that we could be sued if they thought they were wrongly accused, then, hey, let's not talk about these issues because this goes on public record. It's on public record, it's publicly stated. And so that's my thing, is it's not about trying to stop you or trying to protect Ricky Ramey or any of that as much as we're talking about protecting the city. We have a $50 million water treatment plant that we have to work on.
I know.
$50 million. So we don't have time to give someone $500,000, $1 million, $3 million
So
because of that.
can I say one thing?
Sure.
My decisions I make because I truly feel that way. I don't make decisions so I can get reelected. We know that there's public officials, especially when you get to state and federal level, they make decisions not based on what they feel is right, but based on getting reelected. We know that happens. I'm not programmed like that. So my decision's not based on whether I go and try to get reelected. I don't even know if I'm going to run again. I mean, I don't know. But I don't make decisions to try to get reelected. I mean, I try to make decisions on what I feel is right and best for the city and the residents. So I just want to make that point clear. You know, that this isn't, I don't want people to think that this is like a political.
So I will tell you what has happened from the community that I engage with and the citizens that I talk with. Because you've been so dogged about this issue, now the attention has turned from Ricky Ramey, and he's actually gained more sympathy and is turned towards you on the issue. So we're initially where it was about, hey, these were Chief Ramey's actions. Many people disapproved of those actions, and the focus was on Chief Ramey. Now, because of 5 months of this ongoing, doggedness about it, now the focus has turned to what's going on with Commissioner Ward.
Yeah.
Why? And so now the court of public opinion that we had to, hey, let's bring about some action towards Chief Ramey has been, what's going on? Why is Commissioner Ward still so dogged about this? Why is he still so, dogmatic about this particular issue? So it's taking the focus off of what the issue really has been, is the point that I'm making.
If I were to do it all over again, I would definitely do it differently.
Well,
it's a learning experience.
What we're saying now, and I think what Commissioner Vandegrift is saying is that now is a chance we have to do it differently. So I get it that, hey, if we could do it all over again, we would do it differently. City manager probably would make some different decisions. If we were to ask the city attorneys again and labor attorney, they would probably give us some different recommendations. Because part of the challenge with Marcy is that his opinion changed during the process. So the information he gave us in February that we acted on, when you asked him in March, was a little bit different than what he initially told us in February, which then was a little bit different than what we got in April. So because he's getting new information. So as new information is given, or if questions are being asked in a different way, we might have asked questions differently than you posed the question. So he's giving opinions based on the questions that we're asking. So I think everyone probably would have made different decisions based on what we know now. And so, but we are at a point in a juncture where we can make a different decision. So this is where we are. So I think that's what Commissioner Vandegrift is asking is, we understand your disapproval of city manager's actions. Certainly understand that. I can't say that I agree with everything as well, but I've expressed that to her. And then I've moved on to say, Let's move on in handling city business. But yeah, so today is the day we have the opportunity to do something different.
All right. This,
All right, I guess I have a few questions now. So I don't want this to feel like we're dogpiling on Commissioner Ward, because I do feel like he's obviously passionate about this and it's important to him. But would the mayor, I understand what you're saying, do you have, if we were to go forward with this, are both of you prepared to show something, like provide evidence to us, or would it just be based on the words that you're saying today? Because I feel like a lot of this stuff is just based on, this is what happened, but I want to see like, hey, this is here's the example of harassment. Here's the example of where the city manager didn't do this. Is that kind of stuff going to be provided?
So, for example, on page 60, whereas Commissioner Jamie Work abused his powers and authority as a Lynn Haven City Commissioner by interrogating, intimidating, harassing officers of the Florida Highway Patrol and employees of Ms. Newbies. As I understand it, you visited twice.
I visited newbies?
Florida Highway
Yeah,
Patrol.
that's true.
So went out once, was told that they couldn't give him the information. As I understand it, please correct me. As I understand it, went out to the Florida Highway Patrol once, was told that he could not receive that information. I was told that the city attorney talked with Commissioner Ward and said, hey, don't go do that. Commissioner Ward proceeded to go back out to the Florida Highway Patrol. Now, that's what I was told, was that that you were told, hey, you don't need to be doing this investigation, don't need to be working, you know.
Okay.
And then I was also told that when you went out there and you dressed down one of the officers, that a superior officer had to come out and calm you down.
No, no,
That's what I was.
no.
That's what I was told.
No, that's
So-
not true.
So,
at
so,
all.
so here's what happened.
Yeah, okay, so
No.
I guess my question is, this might be what you were told, and I'm not denying that you were told this. You absolutely could have been told this.
Right.
But do you have evidence to prove that,
Well, here's the
other than
question.
someone just telling?
Here's the question.
And the same to James, the same to Commissioner Ward too.
So,
Like, I want to see evidence.
so the fact is, did Jamie Ward go to FHP twice?
I did. So,
No, that's not the fact.
No, no.
There's a difference between asking a question and harassing. Did that person say that is there evidence that that person claimed that they were being harassed?
That
Because
is.
to me, there's a difference between being interrogated and being harassed. That's a very big different thing.
can,
But the purpose is that he was doing that on behalf of the city of Lynn Haven as a commissioner, not as a citizen. Hey, I'm Jamie Ward. And we all have to realize that in whatever capacity we operate in the city of Lynn Haven, people see us as mayor, commissioner, whether I'm a citizen
Or
of Lynn
police
Haven
chief.
or police chief.
Yeah.
That's the capacity people see us in. They don't see us as Jesse Nelson, Jamie Ward. They see us in those capacities.
so I'll explain what
Been
happened.
interrogating FHP anyway.
So the question is, should the commissioner have been going to FHP, interrogating them
So let me
regarding this case?
Let me explain what happened was, when I found out, I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday of that week when we first found out about it. I went down to FHP. I went down when they first opened up. Young lady came out. She was not a police officer. She was one of the staff admin type people. And I explained that I was there to try to get some trying to get information about the Chief Ramey and the hit and run. And she goes, well, the captain, I think he's a captain. Captain or the major was not there at the time. She goes, have a seat, I'll see what I can do. And she did, and she took my information and she said, she gave me the captain's phone number and she gave him my phone number. And he called and he talked to me. And he kind of explained, what are you looking for? And I said, well, I'm looking for everything. And he explained that you have to wait 60 days unless you're the victim or the person actually involved in the incident. And I said, okay. And then that's when I got a call from Kevin Obos. But Kevin Obos never told me not to go down there. He didn't tell me not to do this, not to do that. I think that's another discussion that we need to have, okay? At a future commission meeting. So
And he said that he called me based on Vicky talked to him. And so I automatically assumed that that police officer called Vicky. And I'm like, why the heck did he call Vicky? So I asked if he could have a sit down with his boss. And he said, yeah. And he responded, and I think it was actually President's Day. It was a Monday. I went down there. And, you know, they were both very nice to me. It actually was a very good conversation. We talked about other things besides this, like jurisdiction, like how do you determine, like, you know, whether it's FHP or the county, and he explained all that stuff to me. So we got another conversation. It was very beneficial, but I did ask the captain why he felt it was necessary to call the city manager. And he goes, I never called your city manager. I don't even know the name of your city manager. And I said, I wonder how she got the phone call. He goes, it wasn't me. So I said, okay. And we shook hands and everything was good, you know. That was the only question I really went, and we did talk a little bit more about the public records request. They explained where to go to get it and things like that. So I didn't interrogate him. I mean, I wouldn't harass and intimidate a police officer, you know. And if I did, why didn't they do a complaint up or something? You know, it didn't happen like that. I'm here to tell you.
So, Ms. Newbies,
I did go down there and I talked to a couple bartenders and asked them if they knew anything. And it was only like maybe 5-10 minutes tops.
did you provide your City of Lynn Haven business card?
I did. So I get it. I overstepped my bounds. We talked about this before, and I agree. I overstepped my bounds. And this is, like I said, this has been a big learning experience for me. I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong.
When you're at, yeah, I guess.
But I didn't, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that, understand, I didn't intimidate anybody. I didn't harass anybody. I didn't, like, you know,
So-
pressure them to tell me.
So here's the thing, Commissioner Ward, and I totally get that. I think sometimes what we have to be reminded of is just our sheer size can be intimidating.
I was with my walker. I mean, I get it,
But I'm saying, here's what I'm saying. Like, if I look at myself, I think I'm a nice guy. I think I'm a gentle guy. I think I'm pretty cool. But it wasn't until I saw that, man, I'm the same size as a middle linebacker for a college football team that I could be intimidating to someone. So what I'm saying, I'm just saying that although you may not thought you were intimidating, that's the message that got out from your going to Miss Newbies. Is that intimidating, harassing?
If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have went.
That's the message that got out, was that you were intimidating and harassing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't there, but that's the message that was that is what was delivered to the public, is that a City of Lynn Haven commissioner. Because how do I know you went there? Because I wasn't there.
Right.
Also, so you were acting on behalf of the city. You left your business card.
I know.
So that's why I say abuse his powers and authority, because we're going to do something that we said that, hey, let HR handle that. They handle the personnel issues. We don't.
I admit that. I mean, and I didn't initially go in there. I didn't tell him that. It was after at the end, I gave him my business card. So I apologize.
And in regards to, you know, and this is in regards to Sam, acting contrary to the advice of Lynn Haven's Human Resource Department, City Labor Attorney, City Attorney, and the desires of the City of Lynn Haven Commission, we've already voted on this. We've already had a special meeting just on this topic back in March. Then we voted to let city manager handle this. And now we're coming back saying, let's censor her for actually operating and acting upon what we told her that she could do.
I understand. So I'll say this.
So right now, if we continue down these roads, we're not going to get accomplished what we need to get accomplished as the city commission.
I've had quite a few people reach out to me. And I think a lot of residents don't feel the same way I do. And
you said they don't feel the same way you do?
Not me. What's going on with the position, but Chief Ramey. The decision's been made. I'm just trying to.
So are you saying they feel the same way you do, or they don't feel the same?
I think they feel closer to the way I feel.
Got it.
I'm just trying to do what's right, and I don't know. I feel like a failure because I know that's the right thing to do. I think we all know that's the right thing to do, but we're too afraid to say anything.
I think we're too afraid to say anything, Commissioner Ward. I think we took a vote and we're going by what the commission decided to do. Since March, your behavior has been anti on what the commission decided to do. The reason we took a vote is because by consensus, we left the table saying, hey, let the city manager handle this. Several times Kevin told us she could do this. Then we come back and officially vote, and we're back here. That's March. That's the second meeting in March. April, May, June. 3 months later, talking about the same issue that we said, hey, let city manager handle
And
this.
part of that, I agree with that. And part of that, I was hoping there'd be an outcome in this thing.
Seriously, we all did. Like,
It's like, how much longer do we have to wait, you know?
so she can tell you, I was upset when I got the notification that, hey, this has been delayed until June.
Yeah, I
Because
was upset
when
too.
we left that meeting, we were hoping that, okay, hey, in April, this comes up. Her and I had talked about some disciplinary actions based on what the outcome would be in April. I believe it was April 9th was the day it was supposed to, April 9th or April 11th, one of those days. Okay, hey, if this is the outcome, maybe this is what she might do. If this is the outcome, maybe this is what she might do. And then when we get the notification that it's been delayed till June, then we say, okay, well, hey, we can't wait until June. That's when we said we do have to do administrative duties. After her and I talking, we said, okay, and talking with the attorneys as well, administrative leave would just be a free vacation. Administrative duties strips him of his police authority, but still allows us to get some work out of the employee, but still not functioning in the capacity of chief of police. And so we thought in the best interest of the city, hey, let's move to administrative duties because it has been a long time. And so I agree with you. I'm not happy that it got postponed. I'm not happy that it's not resolved because it is a sticking point for our city that we got to move past or try to move past at some point once this is resolved. So I would hope that, Chief Ramey's attorney would expedite it and get it resolved in a lot faster fashion.
Mayor, and with administrative duties, we're up for accreditation. We have our point person that, of course, Sergeant Mike Williams, that's out on medical leave. He and another officer handled that along with Ricky Ramey last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and now it's up for a reaccreditation. Chief Ramey, and I think I said this to you too, he has the knowledge to be able to get us reaccredited. We have to be able to do that. And if you've ever been to one of those commissions where they reaccredit you, they are very, very difficult. We think this commission, we have our different disagreement, but they are to the point, and they point out all of your weaknesses, and they have the power in their hand of whether or not the police department is reaccredited. That is crucial to us. And so that's where he's handling a lot of that reaccreditation information. They'll be coming and doing a visit here. They'll be doing this. They'll actually do several visits. And that reaccreditation happens in August. We've got to get through that. And so it's been very helpful to us in that sense that Chief Ramey can do a lot of those administrative things, because right now we had to pull another officer out to help us as well. So again, I know many of you don't know the workings of this city, but I know what has to be done to make sure we continue to be the premier city, that we continue to give great services to our citizens, that we continue for our citizens to have faith in us and the things that we do. And that's all that I'm doing. I know everybody doesn't agree. They don't. Everybody doesn't like us. Everybody doesn't like things about us. I get that. But guys, I am going to do the right thing. And whether you pressure me or harass me or any of those things, I answer to a higher power, and I have to do the right thing. And Commissioner, I told you this, right? And so that's all I'm doing. I'm following your command. That's what you told me to do.
Well, after further consideration of what Commissioner Vandegrift requested initially before this discussion, and Commissioner Perno did ditto. I would like to strike agenda item number 12.
Thank you.
I'll strike 11.
Jamie, we want you voicing your opinion. I've learned a lot from you. I don't ever want you to hold back. But please don't ever assume that I'm afraid to voice my opinion. I'm conservative in what I say.
Can I say something?
Sure,
That's
Sam.
Sorry, I didn't mean, I had to hit the unmute button, so if I cut you off, sorry, I want you to finish what you were saying.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to say, Commissioner Ward, that I truly believe that what you are passionate about this because you believe you're doing what's right. Okay? And I also believe that decisions that were made, like you showed to me that today that you said, hey, I made some mistakes and I'll own up to that. And I want you to know that I respect that. I think that's great. I also want to say, I think that the purpose of this censure, just from the outside looking in, is that this was a way for different people to bring it up for a topic of discussion in today's meeting. And I think that that's what happened. Commissioner Warwick was able to talk about what was on his mind and how he felt. The mayor was able to talk about what he felt. And I just want to say that I appreciate both of you offering to strike these censures, because I do think that that was the right thing to do, because we all had this conversation. And I think that that's what it's all about. We don't ever want to be in a situation where we feel like we can't say, I understand that there's, you feel, what the mayor said about everything being on public record and all that. But I will say, there were times when we were sitting there and there'd be debates going on and it felt like people were not letting the other person talk. And that's never healthy. So I just requested in the future, if someone's speaking in their commissioner report, just let them say what they have to say and then afterwards address it. That's all I have to say, and thanks everybody.
All right. Anything else? And let me say, Commissioner Ward, you're my neighbor, so I certainly appreciate you. And I remember when we both came to city commission meeting when it was in the trailers, talking about our neighborhood, Wood Highlands. And I know you, as well as myself, have tried to assist the citizens there with the different issues. We come together for the stormwater issues that are there and the other issues. And so I don't think there's any other community that has, two commissioners, on the same spot. Now, not saying we have to do everything from Wood Highlands. Let me be very clear about that, because I'm still trying to get that back road so I can get my golf cart out of there. I'm still waiting on that. But it's my desire for all of us to work together. I mean, Lynn Haven, and I don't want this issue to drag us down. Let me publicly state, and I've said, Chief Raymond and I've had a few hours of conversation. I do not agree with his decision to do what he did. I don't agree with that. And I've expressed that to you. So I don't want anyone to think that, hey, I went and gave him a high five and said, hey, man, everything's going to be all right. I didn't. I talked with Chief Ramey. I followed up with him a couple of times, but I've expressed, my discontent with the decision that he made. However, I also try to balance that with, the scales of justice, in that right now we're not in a position to exercise that justice. And so, but as a commission, and there's so many issues, and this is a big issue. I'm not saying this is not. I don't want you to think that I'm saying we have to dismiss this issue. I am expressing that because of this issue, for 5 months we've been delayed. And I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying this issue has delayed. We haven't even started on the comprehensive plan yet. One reason we have to keep saying, okay, let's wait is because we're having to continue to work in certain issues. So moving forward, I mean, I really do believe we are greater together. Like that's my campaign slogan, right? But I really do believe that we are greater together, and we all bring together different facets of what we do. I appreciate the investigation that you do. No, not the other stuff, but I appreciate you digging into details. I appreciate that. A lot of times I'm a big picture guy, digging into certain details, but I appreciate the facts that you bring and the way that you look at different issues. So I appreciate the expertise, that you bring to that. All of us bring something. I appreciate, Commissioner Perno and making sure that there's a win-win for everybody. That's usually what I get from him. Is a win-win for everybody. I don't always agree with it, but there's a win-win for everybody. I agree with Commissioner Vandergrift. She logically, lays out her thoughts, like we're in class. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate the innovation that Commissioner Peebles brings, always trying to find a new way to do something. Then, of course, we have to go back to see, can we do it this way based on Florida statute and such? But I appreciate all of that. And so I think, and it's not just me thinking, it has been deemed that we have one of the top, not just the top 10 cities, but the top 10 commissions in the state of Florida. No other county, no other city in Bay County is close to that. So we're not only just a top 10 city, but it also means we have a top 10 city manager, top 10 officials, directors. You just don't get that from having pretty parks, right? So we're all working together as a whole. And I do believe, and city manager has publicly stated, so here's what we do, right? Is she did say that there would be discipline on the outcome of this. If there is no discipline, then we hold her accountable on that, because she stated that. We may not always agree with the discipline. There might be some things that we don't agree with, but if there is no action, then we hold her accountable on that. And we have that. So I do agree that when this is done, and if discipline has happened, sure, feel free to go and talk with her about your concerns. I think every commissioner should do that, and I think we've been doing that along the way. Excuse me. I think the difference is we may not have all publicly expressed that, and I'm not saying you're wrong for doing that. I'm not saying you're wrong for doing that at all. So I don't think we've all publicly expressed it, but all of us have expressed our opinion to her on what we think she should do and the amount of discipline and all of that. But for example, if the outcome comes, she said there's going to be discipline, there's no action taken, then that's another conversation. And I think then we come back and have that conversation about that. But just want to say I do enjoy serving with you guys, and I think there's a lot of good work that we still have to do. Whether you run again or not, there's still a lot of work we got to get done before that time comes. All right, we got to get our comprehensive plan done. We just saw what we had to deal with today in regards to a townhouse. And I definitely want to get on a comprehensive plan, because I think there's some ideas that I've seen from Marina Island and other subdivisions that we can start requiring within some of our comp plan for everybody. But hey, it's our time, 9:47. I got to go. Y'all have a great day. Meeting adjourned.